new SEC map, I didn't put the city names, but you can see the red dots, and they're all over the place now. And boy, they spread out. For the Southeastern Conference, you got Northwest, West, and then Southwest there thrown in there. It has shifted. And then you have, in very small print, for my guys here, I'm going to point out what we got. Atlanta is marked in blue. Then you got New Orleans down there, which I'm always for putting games in New Orleans. Nashville, but the real center of this map is Memphis. If the Titans had wound up in Memphis instead of Nashville and they had a big new NFL stadium, I think Memphis would be the place to play this thing. But since they don't have the facilities for it, I don't think you move it. My question is, Greg Sankey is talking about not moving it. I think eventually they're going to, it's going to be about money, and they will be able to bid this thing out. I don't think they're going to bid it to San Francisco or something, but I do think they would bid it to these southern cities. I could see it going to that new Titans stadium. I could see it getting out of Alabama and going to New Orleans or Houston one year. Maybe you play it all the way out in Dallas. But do you guys, first of all, tell me this, do you think they ought to move it? Because if this is Texas versus Georgia in an SEC championship game and it's in Atlanta, or even if it's Texas versus Tennessee, it's a pretty big home field advantage for the eastern part of this league to do that. Should they move it or no?
Yes. If you want to play fair, even slice of pie.
I'd like a rotating basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
well, first question, just yes, you would move it if it rotates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. And I don't think the setup in Atlanta is so superior that it can never be moved. It's a good venue, but not such an amazing setup that you just have to keep it there. Like Nashville for basketball, which I think should probably stay there.
To the point you just made quickly, Big 12 title game was in Kansas City for so many years. All of a sudden, what do? Move it to Arlington, retractable roof. Same thing with Chicago with the Big Ten. What do? Lucas Oil Stadium, retractable roof. John, I think you're onto something. They're going to move this thing to Nashville.
Yeah, they'll wind up moving it around.
Especially with the Titans' new stadium with the
Bob, should they move it?
No.
Okay, you're just being a contrarian, but play your contrarian game.
No, I like it. I like it being in Atlanta, and I don't think the travel thing. Okay, Georgia's playing Alabama. You don't have a big advantage. I mean, Alabama's going to show up. Georgia's going to. I think if Texas is there and they're playing Georgia for an SEC championship in Atlanta, you're going to have as many Texans as you are Georgians.
Would Tennessee fans cry if they had to play Texas in Houston?
Well, sure they would.
Okay, there you go. So, and whoever would cry.
But I mean, here's the
But
thing.
you don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I just have,
they would all.
some tradition for something, and that game's been in Atlanta a long time.
Will this matter as much with a 12-team playoff and a 14-team playoff, though? I'm not sure anybody's going to care as much about the SEC title game. I wish they would, but I think it's going to be diminished a bit.
Now it's just a money thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not really all that important.
Can I give you a prediction?
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring it up is because it was such a big storyline down in Hoover for SEC baseball. They're contractually obligated to Hoover, Alabama for just one more year. That's why they're trying to pump so much money into the Hoover mat and try to facilitate. I think when we're going to see the big reveal of it moved, I don't care how much money gets dumped into that stadium. I personally believe the SEC baseball tournament after the contract's up is going to get moved to the Nashville Minor League Baseball Stadium because it fits everything that they're looking for hotels, and I think there we'll slowly start seeing that transition.
Well, look, Nashville has become it's now up there. Las Vegas and New Orleans used to be your party cities in this country, and now Nashville is in that group, and they've got more modern facilities. I think New Orleans infrastructure is better.
Yeah.
They know what to do. They've done Super Bowls. They're doing better than anybody. But Nashville's infrastructure is getting pretty darn good. My question is, if you rotate these, what's your rotation? Atlanta, Nashville. I would keep New Orleans in there. And then I would look at, if I'm looking at Houston to throw them a bone, or Texas to throw them a bone, I go Houston because that's closer as opposed to Dallas. That's
I'd go Houston and Dallas and do that every other time. I wouldn't put 2 out of every 5 in Texas. I'd do 1 every 4 in Texas, and one time Dallas, the next time it's Houston.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I like to keep it at 3, the New Orleans, Atlanta, Nashville. If you do throw Texas a bone, Dallas is essentially Big 12 country. Houston, make it SEC country.
I will say this about the Nashville Stadium. It's going to be way smaller than the others. I think that's a consideration. They can't sell as many tickets in Nashville.
That's a good point.
Titan Stadium holds like 60,000. That's something to think about. Atlanta holds about 20,000 more.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. And, of course, Dallas holds 1 billion people.
Yeah.
Now, would you move the basketball tournaments too? I don't have a problem if you put all these in like a 3-year. I could see basketball rotating more often than football. I like Nashville as the hub, but we've already talked about this in between breaks. They already played one in St. Louis to throw Missouri a bone. They're going to put one in Oklahoma City at some point. They're going to put one in Houston at some point, I bet.
The Nashville setup is great, and you need to play to that Kentucky fan base all you can because they sell out every single year.
Yeah,
You
there
have
you
it.
go.
Bridgestone does such a great job with that. I don't know why
Yeah.
you touch it, but I get it.
Okay. So you would rotate football, but not basketball.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
What about you, Jim?
I would keep it in Nashville.
Yeah.
I also think baseball is going to stay in Hoover.
Okay.
A lot of
I
history
don't think
there.
it's going to move.
Yeah.
Well, here's another interesting thing. If you look at that map, if you had a good stadium, Memphis is kind of centered. Birmingham would be more centered than Atlanta. Of course, that's where the first two championship games were played. And then another one that would be up there would be like Jackson, Mississippi, which you joked about earlier. If you had a good stadium there in Jackson, you could do it there too. But anyway, there's your map one last time to take a look at it. It'll be interesting to see what the SEC does. My guess is they now, because of players getting paid, they now have the freedom to say, we need a revenue stream.
Yeah,
And they're going to
there
say
you
it
go.
about everything.
Yeah.
So that is my guess. Jimmy Himes, thank you for being here. Ryan Callahan, on behalf of everyone but Bob, thank you for being here. Tyler Ivins, thank you. Bob Hodge, thank you. Thanks to our crew. Did a great job today. We appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors for bringing you this show every single week. And thanks to you for watching. There is no show year-round for 20-plus years, if not for you. Thank you, and we'll see you next Sunday right back here on the Sports Source.